kittens, this is Sugar for House of Cyanide, and I am going to be doing a video today about grounding. And the inspiration for this video actually came about from a request about psychic shielding. However, I wanted to go over grounding before I went over psychic shielding. The reason why is because grounding is the first step to shielding yourself, and knowing how to ground is extremely important, especially if you are wanting to learn how to be a psychic, are a psychic, or anything of that nature. And so I actually took the time and wrote up some notes so that I don't just sit here and ramble on. So this video is going to be specifically about grounding, and then I'm going to make another video about psychic shielding, because as I was writing up this information, I had so much information strictly about grounding that I didn't want to make this video too long. Okay? The first thing I want to state is that everyone has psychic abilities. Everybody has the ability to do these things. Some people are more gifted than others. I like to look at it like singing. Some people are extremely gifted from birth, can sing beautifully without any training. Some people, like myself, are not gifted vocally when it comes to singing, and with training and practice and teachers and lessons and all of that, can learn how to sing beautifully. And so the psychic ability is along those lines, where everybody has the ability. Some people are more gifted than others, but that doesn't mean that you are not able to do it. It just means that you need a little more training and a little more practice than everybody else, or than those people that are gifted, I should say. Not necessarily everybody else, but you just need a little more training and practice. And you know what? The people who have to work hard to get what they want, not only do they appreciate it, but they're better at it, because they don't expect it to come easily for them. And so when it doesn't, they don't panic and break down. So that's just a general life lesson about everything. So back to being grounding. Grounding is the first thing that you need to know about dealing with anything magical, anything psychic, anything new age. That's the first way to protect yourself from any of these things, is grounding. So grounding is very, very important, and it's very underutilized, undertaught, all of that. And that's because it's not flashy, it's not shiny. You're not talking to spirits or anything like that, but it's a basic way to protect yourself. It's something that should be done on a regular daily basis. It's something that should be done. Everybody should know how to do this, and people do this without even realizing it, but once you start grounding purposely, you can use it in all aspects of your life and handle stressful situations so much better. So what is grounding? Because here I am talking about grounding. What is grounding? Grounding is releasing energy back into the earth. Okay? Usually when you're grounding, you're releasing negative energy back into the earth so that it can be recycled and turned positive by Mother Nature. But you can release positive energy. Grounding can be done for positive, negative, neutral energy. If you have too much energy of any kind, it's just simply releasing that energy. So one of the first ways that I learned how to ground is with the tree metaphor. And the tree metaphor is, what you basically do is you come to a semi-quiet, private space, and you take a moment and you would envision that you are a tree and that your feet are the roots of the person tree that you are. And your roots are growing and digging into the ground, Okay, and as your roots are growing and digging into the ground, into the earth, you want to start at the top of your head and move slowly down and take an inner inspection of your entire body, from into your fingers, down your arms, to shoulders, to the heart region. You kind of want to just go in and check everything, see how it's feeling. Pull out any excess energy that is not needed, negative or positive. Again, this is usually done if it's negative, but it does help if you have too much positive energy as well. Too much of anything is not a good thing. And you want to push it down as you go through this inner inspection. Just keep pushing, and push it down through your feet, out the roots of your person tree, into the earth. And this whole process can take as short as 10 seconds to as long as a half an hour, whatever you need. And sometimes, like, I will go through, like if I've had a really rough day or I've got a high energy situation that I really need to disperse this energy, sometimes I'll go through the cycle several times. To give you an example of a positive energy reason why you need to disperse the energy is if you're doing a magical or a psychic working, and sometimes you'll get this elation, almost like being high or giddy, and it's dispensing that energy. It's getting rid of that energy that's causing you to be overly elated, overly giddy, so that you can function on a normal level. Because while it feels good to be high up like that, what happens is if you don't dispense of it in a proper manner, you're gonna crash. And a lot of this crashing, most of the people that I know of that deal with positive energy crashes, or you hear people called the con crash. It's like after conventions, they've had such a wonderful, fabulous time at a convention that they would come back to their normal life, that they have the con crash. Also, like say in BDSM, sometimes you have the sub crash, and that's where someone has been scening, which raises the endorphins and the serotonin and the adrenaline in your body. And after that happens, if you do not ground that energy properly, then you will crash. And so grounding positive energy is a good thing, and it can be utilized in multiple different ways in your life. Okay? So using the tree analogy is one way. If you've ever done yoga, at the very end of yoga, when you're in the flat laying down position, I think it's called Shamanasa. I can't pronounce the those words. So, but when you're completely laying down, the very end, and your legs are spread out and your arms are spread out, and the yogi or the teacher who's running the class will tell you to kind of take an interior inventory of your body. That's the same concept, that's grounding. Okay? So, if you do not ground, you can have anxiety attacks. It can give you depression, and these are for people who are more sensitive. Again, you can get the manic episodes, and stress. And so by not grounding, it can cause these things, but also by grounding on a regular basis, it will help these things. So I'm not saying it's going to cure it. I am not a doctor, and I'm not saying that by not grounding, it's going to cause these things, although I just said that like 2 seconds ago. But it can definitely increase the probability of those happening. And I've noticed people, when they have the crashes, the positive energy crashes, it feels like depression. And that is a form of depression. And if the grounding is done properly, it will prevent that crashing, because what happens is it brings you down slowly. It brings you from that high elation place down slowly, and so you do come down a little bit from it. But with a crash, what happens is you're way up here, and all of a sudden you drop, and it's that drop that causes the anxiety and the depression and things of that nature. And this can happen again, you know, just a normal day-to-day life, although I know a lot of times conventions and festivals have that, where you have the con drop. Again, BDSM, it happens. You know, I'm trying to think of other things that can happen after sports events, after concerts, anytime, if you're a stage performer, you always have this elation, this high off of being on stage, and if you don't ground properly out of that, then you'll crash. So these are just some everyday experiences that you can have, that you can go through. Grounding is a simple mental exercise that is so good for you. It helps you calm yourself down in a very stressful situation if you're having a bad day. And there's lots of things that I recommend for grounding. It can be done anywhere at any time. The visualization of the tree helps me. That's what I typically use. If you search online on Google, there are tons of walkthroughs that people have written out of how to ground. It's kind of like a guided meditation of sorts. There are other things that you can do to ground. Going outside in nature is one of them. Nature will just naturally ground you. Exercise will naturally ground you. When I used to work at a metaphysical store in a very urban part of St. Louis, we had a lot of individuals that were attracted to the store because of the energy from all the stones and all the products in the store. And we were in a very urban area. And so we would get a lot of, what is the term? I guess unmentionables. Just people that were seriously in need of mental help, okay? And they were attracted to the energy of the store because people like that tend to be more sensitive. And I would repeatedly, you know, if they caused problems, I would send them out of the store, and there was a park nearby, and I'd be like, go out to the park and put your back to a tree. If you're having a rough day and you cannot ground yourself and you cannot get into the headspace to just take a moment, just put your back to a tree and just have your entire spinal column, whether sitting or standing, lined up against the tree, and the tree will ground you, because that's basically what you're doing, is you're aligning your chakras with the tree, and the energy from the tree will start to harmonize your chakras properly, and that will ground you, that will help you. So that's another way that you can do it. If there's no trees in your area, if you live in a desert or someplace where there's not a lot of trees that are large enough to put your back to, lay on the ground. Spread out a blanket, lay on the ground. And this would have to be the actual earth itself, not concrete or anything like that, because you're connecting with the live energy of nature, okay? So there's a couple other things that you can do to help. Stones are very helpful. Typically you want dark earthy stones. I'm trying to grab mine, and they're hiding under what I have my camera propped up on. And they just hit the floor. Okay, so this is an example of a really good grounding stone. This is actually an Apache tear, which is a common name for obsidian. And the reason why it's an Apache tear is a specific type of obsidian, because when you hold it up you can see through it, which I don't think you can do that in, I don't think I can catch that on camera. My camera's not good enough. I'm sorry. I don't have a really high-end camera, guys. I've got to work with what I've got. So this is an Apache tear obsidian. Hematite is a great stone. That's what just hit the floor. And, oh, there it is. This is a magnetic hematite, and that's what you hear making that sound. Okay. That's actually electricity that you're hearing. When you, a non-electrical stone, let's use this. Can you hear the difference? I don't know if the camera is going to pick up the difference between the two. And I just fell. But anyways, this is hematite. This is magnetic hematite. So any stone that's black or gray, green or dark brown is good for grounding. Now, the darker the stone, the better it is for grounding. Some people cannot use hematite. Hematite is one of those stones that either people love it or hate it. I'm one of those people that just, I'm in love with it. So, but the darker the stone, the better it is for grounding. It doesn't have to be a gemstone. You can find a stone, you know, walking down the street, and if one talks to you. Look up the properties of these stones online. Again, there's a ton of information. Black tourmaline, which I do not have a piece because I gave all my tourmaline to a friend of mine who needed it, is typically considered the best for grounding. However, grounding is a very personal thing. So what might be considered by the book the best might not work for you, and that's okay. So, but typically, the darker the stone, the better the ground it makes. That's also why, if you will see, I'm almost always in black. Colors also help as grounding. I typically wear a lot of black clothing. Yeah, and some people say it's because I'm goth. I haven't decided whether I consider myself goth or not. But I wear a lot of black clothing because it helps me ground. Because I'm an extremely strong sensitive, and I need all the grounding that I need, that I can get. And so when it comes to psychic ability, I need a grounding, and I've had to take a lot of training and a lot of practice to control my gift so that it doesn't control me. And that is definitely something that will be in the next video, because I am sure this has been long enough about grounding. So anybody and everybody can do grounding. I use grounding when I'm dealing with I guess you could call them the mundanes. I don't know. It sounds so, or muggles, it sounds so mean to call them that. But it clarifies exactly who I'm talking about. So I use grounding if I'm dealing with somebody in that situation. I just tell them to take a deep breath and just release the negativity, and you know, I try to use word phrasings and things that they would be comfortable with versus kind of the new agey vocabulary that to me more aptly describes what I'm talking about. So again, I might do another video on that, on how to comfort someone and help them ground if they're not, if they're a muggle or a mundane, basically. So it helps you, you know, talking about word choices and things, how you would say things. So, but that is grounding, and grounding is very, very important after any major ritual, after any psychic working, after any tarot reading, after cons and festivals, you know, late night naughty adventures. Grounding is really, really important. And basically what grounding does is grounding helps level you out. So if you're one extreme and then another, grounding kind of helps you to find that normal for you kind of breathing space, so that you can still experience those highs and lows, but this gives you a parachute basically to help catch you, so that when you're coming down you have more control of that. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, comment down below, subscribe. I love video requests because I have so much to say and I don't know where to begin. So let me know what you want to learn about, let me know what you want me to talk about, and I will just turn the camera on and start spewing my mouth, because I don't know where to begin. I've been studying and learning and practicing for a very, very long time, and everything is interconnected and related, and I honestly don't know where to begin because I want to cover everything, but that's trying to like shove it all in one video, and it's gonna overpower your brain and not give you the information that you're specifically looking for. So please, I love video requests. I'm gonna do the next video probably right now on shielding. Alrighty, thank you guys. Bye.